Your album has a set of sleeve notes written by a dear old friend of mine, a man I haven't seen for many years. Please welcome Dominic Behan. There was a time that we were running into each other every week. Why don't our paths cross anymore, Dominic? What have you been up to?
Edinburgh doesn't have such a lot of free drink nowadays. What I'm trying to do is forget about folk music for a while, you know. I remember asking somebody one time about folk music and why did he do it, and he said he did it for the money. And then it became a terribly serious business, Archie.
Yeah.
Much different to what it was a few years ago. I don't mind folk music. I mean, if it's in the hands of people like Henderson or Wojak or Burns or Eric Bogle, folk music it can be a fine thing. But then in the hands of lesser people, it can literally be a haven for cultural illiteracy.
You've always been a man of strong opinions, and you haven't changed.
No, I feel Alexander Fletcher said, he was another Scot, he said one time, he said, let me make a nation's ballads, and I care not who makes its laws. Christ, I wouldn't like to live under some of the songs of Ewan MacColl or Bob Dylan.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would contend you on that. But how did you get involved in what you could call a sort of new wave folk rock movement?
I never know. A fella called Paul McCartney rang me one night.
Never heard of him.
He said to me, I've just come across a great folk song. It's a traditional song. He didn't speak then as well as he speaks now. He's more money now, you see. It's a song, it's all about Liverpool. It's called Liverpool Lou. I said, yeah, I wrote it. And we said, is that right? He says, according to what I hear, he says, you wrote every bloody thing.
Well, I hope that you got some money from that one. There's plenty to spare in that region.
Yeah, well, he used to do it with the scaffold, with his brother-in-law, his brother, Mike McGear. He's a decent man, actually.
Have you been writing popular music in that vein, or have you been writing mainly prose and literature?
Well, the one the boys have just sung, the words and music are by me, and they've arranged the song, and they've bent the tune, and made the tune. And made the tune bloody great, I think.
Yes, I think so as well.
What they do is great.
Is there that sense of vicarious experience here? Would you like to get up there with a big band nowadays, or with a trio?
I was just down in the Highwayman pub tonight, and they have a jazz combo at work there, and they were doing Careless Love, you know.
You joined in on that one, I'm sure.
Well, that's where I started. I started as a jazz singer.
I thought you were going to say you started with Careless Love.
No. I started as a jazz singer, and then I met a fella called MacColl down in London, and MacColl said to me, he said, let's form a thing called the Singers Club.
That's right.
And we formed the Singers Club. Myself and MacColl and a fella called Bert Lloyd, who used to be, he was deported from Australia for doing an extraordinary thing with cattle and horses. But he got in and
he was a rustler.
He was a rustler. So we got in and we formed the Singers Club, and after a while, MacColl, he was always issuing edicts. So he said, people must sing songs indigenous unto themselves. Nobody even knew what he meant by it. You know, in other words, that Scots must sing Scots songs, Irish, and well, Welsh, well, they will...
You haven't answered the
question. The Welsh will sing in a pack anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
you haven't answered the question.
What I didn't... Yeah, but wait, Archie, I'll finish. What I understood from this was that MacColl, who was born in Salford, of a Glasgow father and a Highland mother, whose brother was a Canadian, could sing anything he liked.
Well, that's a fair argument. What about On Your Bike, this famous court song, the Tebbit song? Did you write this as well?
I wrote that, yeah. It's a tribute to Norman of Raleigh fame.
You mean Raleigh Bicycle?
Or what the English would call Raleigh. Sure.